The AI tech industry is changing. Before, we used to have this AGI sci-fi like narrative, and now things are changing. Looks like the big players are focusing in generating revenue. This is the topic that I would like to explore with you. We have plenty of evidence that this change is already happening, and I'd like to read a couple of news, articles, and content so we can have a good perspective in what is this direction, what is the change that we are seeing in the market at the moment. A couple of days ago, OpenAI just killed Sora, its video generating product. Let's check it together. OpenAI discontinues support for Sora, winds down Disney deal. OpenAI plans to discontinue its Sora AI video generator 60 months after the high-profile launch of a standalone app for the service, as the company works to simplify its portfolio of artificial intelligence products. The ChatGPT maker and Walt Disney Co. are also winding down their partnership, which have centered on Sora, OpenAI said Tuesday. Disney had previously agreed to license iconic characters including Mickey Mouse and Cinderella to OpenAI for use on Sora and to take a $1 billion stake in the startup. The deal was entirely in stock warrants rather than a cash license fee, Bloomberg has reported. The move to shutter Sora coincides with a push by OpenAI to streamline its product lineup. The company is developing a desktop application to bring together its ChatGPT chatbot, coding tool, and web browser. Bloomberg News has reported. Sora, like other AI video generators, need a lot of more computing power to run. In a note to staff about the changes, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said the company is focusing efforts on AI agents and the newer artificial intelligence model called Spud, which he expects to be ready in the coming weeks. But OpenAI is not the only company changing strategy. We have seen a lot of changes in the xAI as well. xAI sends engineers to client sites to win business from OpenAI. Elon Musk xAI is sending engineers directly into the offices of prospect corporate clients in an attempt to claw businesses' customers away from rivals OpenAI and Anthropic. The hands-on approach helped xAI land payments company Shift4 Payments Inc., which now is planning to phase out OpenAI ChatGPT in favor of xAI Grok after the on-site work, Shift4 Chief Executive Officer Taylor Laumber said in an interview. The firm, founded by NASA administrator and Musk ally Jared Isaacman, will continue using Anthropic's cloud for coding, Lauber added. xAI white glove strategy mirrors a broader shift across the AI industry as leading developers race to convince more business to pay up for their products. AI firms like OpenAI and Anthropic are actively recruiting and deploying engineers to work with potential customers and easy adoption of their software. The ChatGPT maker is also teaming up with private equity firms to build up a deployment arm for its technology. Just an observation here, we have cutting edge technology, but it's not a specialized AI agent that is selling stuff. They are actually relying on people getting on site and convincing other people and working together to sell those new tools and to close deals. So it's very interesting to realize that an AI company is not doing or using AI to do most of its processes. So they are probably using somehow, but it's not that narrative that all jobs will be replaced and everything. So we can see clear right here that the AI tools are indeed tools and not full replacements. They can, of course, increase productivity, but the reality is very different from the narrative and everything that we see in social media. Another interesting aspect of this selling strategy is that they are focusing on selling to companies and not into the direct customers like OpenAI used to do with the ChatGPT. So the idea is to convince and sell the product to an enterprise, an organization that is going to enforce that tool in its employees. So if you convince the leadership, you will get the adoption of the rest of the chain of the command. So yeah, it's pretty interesting and classical sales strategy. ERP companies used to do that from a long time ago, and it continued to work. This xAI movement occurs right after the restructure that occurred in the xAI company. This is a already old news from February, and Musk restructures xAI teams after a co-founders depart. Elon Musk said he restructured xAI, his artificial intelligence startup, following the exit of two of its co-founders early this week. xAI will be organized in 4 core areas, the billionaire told staff in a meeting on Wednesday. Grok's chatbot and voice product, coding, the imagined video product, and MacroHard, an AI software company run by digital agents. This one is more marketing for than anything, actually, in my opinion. Musk presented the plan in an all-hands meeting with xAI staffers, which he made public in the social network X. What matters is velocity and acceleration, he told employees. If you're moving faster, you will be the leader. He also thanked the people who departed the company. I got mixed feelings about the statements here because when you are in the first steps of a company and you are implementing cutting-edge technology, talent is really, really, really important. People are not as replaceable as some leaders want they to be. So when your leadership just leaves the company, there's a lot of knowledge that it's going to leave with them. And this is going to slow down you a little bit. There is a lot of money that will be lost in this process. And I think this is really important in the context of xAI because they are not the leaders and they started after Anthropic and OpenAI. So in that sense, velocity and acceleration is really important. But quality is also important. And I think this strategy of getting faster, but also selling to organizations and selling to the person that can influence in the decision making can be really, really, really important as well. Because here's the thing. You don't need to be actually the most effective tool. You don't need to win benchmarks. You don't need to be objectively the most useful tool. You need to work. You need to have a good enough quality, and then you need to convince people that are going to use it. So when you think in a B2C selling strategy of those AI tools, you usually need to be really good because people are going to use the best tool or whatever. For example, I use me as an example. So I was using Copilot a couple of months ago, then I switched to Cursor, and right now I'm using Cloud Code because, in my opinion, Cloud Code is better than Cursor is better than Copilot. So I can change that really fast. It's not really a problem to me. But for a company, changing the workflows and the structures and everything is really, really more difficult, is more expensive, it's complicated. It's easy to lock in your customer when your customer, it's a business and not a person. Do you know what I mean? So with this strategy, if you are good enough and you can sell to the right people, you can lock in these organizations with you and you can have this long-term relationship. So yeah, maybe the strategy is good at this point. The problem is that you have a very strong competitor to xAI, which is Anthropic. And Anthropic, in my opinion, is ahead in the B2B market. They focus in that part really early, and they are now collecting all the fruit from that decision. And here are the data. Anthropic clinches 380 billion valuation after 30 billion funding round. Anthropic has raised 30 billion in latest funding round, more than doubling the cloud chatbot maker's valuation to 380 billion and underscoring massive investor interested in the startup and the broader AI industry. The company has differentiated itself by focusing its model training on coding, with Cloud Code gaining strong traction among developers and helping the company gain an edge over rivals in the enterprise AI market. Anthropic has rapidly built its revenue base. The company said its current run rate revenue is 14 billion. For Cloud Code alone, the run rate revenue has grown to over 2.5 billion, more than doubling since the beginning of 2026. Business subscriptions to Cloud Code have quadrupled since the start of the year, with enterprise users now representing over half of all Cloud Code revenue, the company said. Anthropic has further deepened its push for business deals with products like Cloud Co-work AI Agent, which executes computer tasks for white-collar workers. And I would like to add another perspective to all those numbers, because we have the Cloud Code revenue and then we have the rest of the revenue. Some of this rest of the revenue is related to the chat code, so it's people like me to pay to use the Claude chat functionality, but we have a lot of platforms, a lot of new products that rely on the Anthropic models. And many of those products are coding models as well, are coding platforms as well. So for example, let's get Copilot or Cursor, which are competitors to Cloud Code. They also rely on the Anthropic models, so they are paying to use those tokens. So I would like to really visualize from all the Anthropic revenue, which part of that is directly related to coding tools, because it's not only Cloud Code. Coding is where the money is at the moment. We have other revenue sources, but I think the industry that are adopting massively those tools are the coding industry. And right from the beginning, Anthropic invested on that. I think OpenAI, they did a poor decision of not focusing right in the beginning in working with coding agents, and the Anthropic strategy is paying off. Not only they are focusing on coding tools, but also specialized agents relating to coding as well. Let's read this news together. Anthropic launches code review tool to check flood of AI-generated code. When it comes to coding, peer feedback is crucial for catching bugs early, maintaining consistency across a code base, and improving overall software quality. The rise of vibe coding, using AI tools that take structures given in plain language and quickly generate large amounts of code, has changed how developers work. While these tools have speed up development, they also introduce new bugs, security risks, and poorly understood code. Anthropic's solution is an AI reviewer designed to catch bugs before they make into the software code base. The new product, called Code Review, launched Monday in Cloud Code. We have seen a lot of growth in Cloud Code, especially within the enterprise. And one of the questions that we keep getting from enterprise leaders is, now that Cloud Code is putting up a bunch of pull requests, how do I make sure that those get reviewed in an efficient manner? Kat Vu, Anthropic head of product, told TechCrunch. Pull requests are a mechanism that developers use to submit code changes for review before those changes make into the software. Vu said Cloud Code has dramatically increased code output, which has increasingly pull request reviews that have caused a bottleneck to shipping code. Code reviews is our answer to that, Vu said. The multi-agent architecture means this can be a resource-intensive product, Vu said. Similar to other AI services, pricing is token-based, and the cost varies depending on the code complexity. Thought Who estimated each review would cost $15 to $25 on average. She added that's a premium experience and a necessary one as AI tools generate more code and more code. I don't know about this tool. I mean, of course, having a tool that can help with the reviewing part is really, really, really important. And I think there is a lot of value associated with that. The issue is that we have this emerging problem in the industry that is being caused because of the AI tools, or I will say that clearly, is getting caused because of bad use of AI tools. The AI tool is not a problem at all, but it's the bad use that is causing all the issues that we're seeing. Like, for example, Amazon outage, which took off the entire website for a couple of hours. And we have GitHub, for example, which are facing problems basically every single day and affecting the operation of its customers. And I think the problem were created because of the bad use and this willing to use AI at all costs. So in the end, we are working with complex systems. So we need to craft and to understand what we're going to change or what are the impacts of that change. It's completely different the way that we're going to program. For example, if I'm doing a script for me, or if I'm trying to do a new SaaS ideas, which I have 0 customers, which I have 0 load under this product, which I have 0 lines of code. So it's pretty easy to use the AI tools to set up in the first place and move fast in the beginning. This is very different from a very large and complex system and company. And when we're working with many different people changing the same code at the same time, it's completely different. This is why we have a discipline called software engineering, and which we have accumulated knowledge in the last decades about it. So it's really important to understand those nuances, to know where you can apply AI and where you can let a coding agent work more autonomously, and which parts you need to actually guide and you need to correct its direction, you need to suggest, and you need to understand the output of what a coding agent is using. And at this point, why I think that they are just doubling the bet, it's because, okay, Anthropic business model is based on token usage. So I don't think they have the incentives to make it as good as possible and make the tools work from the beginning, or even to assume which part of it is not going to work very well. And for example, in that case of the coding reviews, try to think in a different process and things that could be used to scale in this new area of software development. It's just way easier to just create a tool to fix the mess that you created in the first place, and then you charge for that tool. That's exactly what they are doing. So if you have a poor agent, it is going to consume more tokens to develop the feature in the first place. And then you use more tokens to fix the problems that were created by the agent. This is exactly what we're seeing right here. I think depending on the way they are selling this, it's not something good for the industry as well, because it can create a false perception that all reviews can be automated. And this is not really true, because you need to understand the intent. You need to understand the intent in order to review it. And who gives or who creates the intent? Today, it's the humans, it's not the machine. We are not at this point yet. Let's get, for example, a new training way of developing stuff, which is the spec-driven development itself. So the whole idea of spec-driven development is that someone is going to describe a product, to describe a feature, and then the coding tool is going to generate the code around it. But in the first place, you don't have a agent generating the spec in the first place. It's not taking the decisions, trade-off decisions about performance, about complexity, about security, and everything. In the end, we still have humans taking the decisions. So that's my point over here. So how this coding review tool is going to be able to understand the intent of that change to prevent problems or to prevent issues and to ensure correctness? Of course, it can detect, for example, security issues, vulnerabilities that are already detected. It can help with some suggestions for code quality and everything. But regarding the intent, I'm very skeptical about it, because in order to rely the intent of the entire company and everything, you would need to have AGI at this point or something very close to it, and we are not at all close to this point. It's interesting that right now we are also seeing more studies to understand the impact of the AI in the code base. And we got this really interesting study about Cursor AI agent. The study is focused on that, but I think that applies to other coding agents as well. So here's the title of the work, Speed at the Cost of Quality: How Cursor AI Increases Short-Term Velocity and Long-Term Complexity in Open Source Projects. I just would like to read the conclusion. This study presents the first large-scale empirical investigation of how large language models agent assistance impact real-world software development projects. Through a rigorous difference in differences design, comparing cursors adopting repositories with matched control group repositories, complemented by dynamic panel GMM analysis, we provide evidence that challenges both unbridled optimism and categorical pessimism surrounding AI-assisted coding. Cursor adoption produces substantial but transient velocity gains alongside persistent increases in technical debt. Such technical debt accumulation subsequently dampens future development velocity. Ultimately, our results suggest a self-reinforcing cycle where initial productivity surges give way to maintenance burdens. This is not new as well, because we got this hypothesis by Martin Fowler, which he called the design stamina hypothesis. We can see that this article was published in 2007, almost 1 decade before I started college. And basically the idea is that when you have no design in a software project, in the beginning you have a ramp up, you get faster in the beginning. But after some time, you're going to increase the complexity. You're going to have no abstractions or poor abstractions. This is going to slow you down. So with good design, we have a slow start, but then you keep growing. You keep growing in a predictable and steady pace. And we have a pay line, and we have a payoff line right in this point right here. This is not scientific proved, but I think most of software engineers already saw this in practice and could feel the burden of no design and how this is going to slow you down over the long run. A lot of companies struggle because of that. And going back to this Cursor study, I think this is exactly what is going on with AI. I mean, it's possible to do good design and good software with AI. And it's going to be faster than before. But it's not going to be as fast as generating slop. So I think the companies that will understand how to properly apply AI, the companies that and the organizations that want to understand its usage and do it in a very sophisticated way, you have those companies will have a competitive advantage to the others. But the companies that are just focusing on AI in an end on itself are going to see all the slop or the incidents and all the things that we talked in this video already. Maybe we can do an entire video about the quality and the challenges of the AI adoption and all the incidents and all the problematic features that are being released by the companies that are using that in large scale. I think it's not the topic right here. This study is very long, it's very complex. I read it, so so maybe I can bring a specific video about it, but I was more interested in the conclusion, because this is something that many of the people that working with engineering is already realized, and we could actually predict all the problems that we're facing at the moment. But sometimes we cannot just stop the movement, we need to go with it, but that's the issues that we are facing at this moment. Yeah, that's basically everything that I would like to discuss for today's video. I think we could see how the companies are moving to B2B, how they are focusing on segments like coding, for example. I would expect to see more tools like the Anthropic coding review tools to basically the entire software development life cycle. I expect to see more security focused agents, and maybe when this quality problem becomes really big and the leadership realize that there is a problem with quality, they will also try to create tools around it. But in the end of the day, I think that we already have what we need to apply AI properly, but we are not doing it because we have this narrative that AI is going to do things autonomously, but we are not at that point yet. The ones that knows to assist AI tools can produce things that is really good, and it can have a velocity gain. But if you are not willing to use it in the right way, we are going to basically generate slop. That's it. Left your comments with your opinion. Have you seen the problems related to the code quality in the projects that you are working on? What's your opinion about the direction that the market is going, like focusing on coding generation and other blue-collar assistants that can be used by the business industry, the corporations and everything? Do you think this is the correct move? Do you think that people might have other needs outside of the corporate environment for the application of AI tools? Left in the comments below, and see you in the next video.